In today's video, I'll be giving you a full guide on the easiest way to defeat the Leviathan and grab its heart in BLOX fruits. I'll show you everything you need to know, so let's get into it. First of all, you're going to want to come to the spy, who's located at the top of the Tiki Outpost Island. Talk to him and ask him for clues about the Leviathan. If he says, "I don't know anything yet," it means you're on a cooldown timer. To get rid of this, just complete a few sea events and come back. You'll know when you're off cooldown if you ask for the clues again and he says, "I haven't heard a thing, mate. It's quiet as a ghost ship out there." If he says this, you're on the right track. There's still one more thing you need to do, and that's to bribe the spy. There should be a button now that asks you to bribe him. Doing this will cost 1,500 fragments, and you'll have to do this a total of 5 times if you want to spawn the Leviathan. But there's one good thing about this, and it's that whenever you're doing the Leviathan with other people, which you have to in order for him to spawn, other people can bribe the spy a few times, and it'll still count. What I mean is, you could bribe him twice, while someone else bribes him another 3 times, and the Leviathan will still spawn. So don't worry about wasting all your fragments. Now, before you even go out of your way to bribe the spy, there's one more thing you need to make sure you've got. Like I said a bit ago, you will need other people to spawn the Leviathan. Specifically, at least 5 people. In reality, you can have as many people as you want in on this, as long as you have more than 5. Although it's really not recommended to have more than even 8 people, and I'll talk about why that's the case later in the video. There's one more thing you'll need before fighting the Leviathan, and that's the Beast Hunter boat. You can see I'm actually riding it in this clip. But this Beast Hunter boat is pretty much mandatory for fighting the Leviathan, because without it, you can grab the Leviathan heart. You can actually use any boat you want to fight the Leviathan, as long as you did the steps I've said, but you won't be able to grab the heart without the Beast Hunter boat. Now, to craft this boat, you will need Leviathan scales, along with a bunch of other crafting materials, meaning you'll have to fight the Leviathan at least once before crafting this boat. There is one last thing you need to make sure you do whenever you're out looking for the Leviathan, or he will not spawn, and this is to head to danger level 6. If you don't know what this is, basically, if you look at where your compass usually is, you'll see this meter around it with a number. This is your sea level, which pretty much means how far out at sea you are. When Leviathan hunting, you need to head out behind Tiki Island, where you'll head into danger level 1. This will spawn a few rocks in the sea, and some sharks may attack you. But as you head deeper into water, the more enemies will spawn, which include haunted ships, piranhas, and even terror sharks, which is a raid boss that can spawn from danger level 3 to 6. These terror sharks can be very dangerous, so I'll go over the easiest ways to defeat them in just a minute. But to find the Leviathan, you'll have to head out to danger level 6, where there's a chance, after you have both bribed the spy and brought at least a 5-player squad, a frozen dimension will spawn. Heading into this dimension will allow you to fight the Leviathan as long as you've met the requirements. For this next part of the video, I'll be going over some of the best fruits and fighting styles you and your team should use when fighting the Leviathan. This part is pretty important, so I'd recommend sticking around till the end. For the first fruit I'll be going over, it's gonna be Buddha. This fruit is best when paired with other ones. Why? Well, this is because Buddha is mostly used to keep sharks and piranhas off the ship. This can be done by putting a fully transformed Buddha at the back of a ship, and whenever a piranha is near, the Buddha can simply kill them before they hit the ship. You can also do the Buddha glitch, like I'm doing here, where you transform into your Buddha form. Then you transform again back into your human form, and while you're doing that, you equip any sword, so it has a larger hitbox. There is one downside to using Buddha though, and it's that when fighting the Leviathan, M1 attacks don't work on it, meaning you will have to use a fighting style, or sword, that has good moves. The next fruit I'll be talking about is by far the most popular, which is magma. This fruit is just amazing for all types of sea events, including the Leviathan and the terror shark. and it's the most used fruit in Leviathan hunting for a good reason. This fruit is best when paired with a phoenix, which I'll talk about in a bit. These magma users will usually be the ones who deal the most damage. Now, the reason why I say phoenix is the best pair to magma is because of its healing move. Since magma is usually the one who's fighting the most, there's a good chance you may get really low on health and sometimes even die, especially to terror sharks. Phoenix can play as a support, so if you ever need health, you can get healed by a phoenix. The final fruit I'll be talking about is portal. This fruit has one main use when it comes to Leviathan hunting, and it's to take care of terror sharks. I don't have any clips to show you of this, but one of Portal's moves, Dimension Rift, can teleport everyone on your boat to a different dimension, which will despawn the terror shark, so you don't have to deal with it. This is great, because a lot of the time, you'll have some people dying to the terror shark, so instead of fighting it, you can simply leave it. The only downside is that all of your teammates have to be at least a little bit coordinated. What I mean is that whenever a terror shark spawns, it's best if everybody on the ship, including the driver, gets off their seat. This is so whenever the portal user uses their dimension rift, it doesn't teleport the ship with them. And if this does happen, then the ship will be destroyed, and everybody will have to reset. So, in the end, what I think the best fruits to use in a 5-man squad when looking for the Leviathan are 1 Buddha, 1 Phoenix, 1 Portal, and 2 Magma users. Most people don't have Phoenix, so instead you can replace it with something like Kitsune, Mammoth, or just another Magma. But that's just my opinion. You can bring any fruits you want. Now, for the fighting styles. There's not a lot to talk about when it comes to these, but most of the time, Sanguine Arts is the best choice to go with. Of course, those of you looking for a Leviathan for your first time won't have access to the Sanguine Arts. So what I think is the second best fighting style to use is probably Death Step. This is because all moves on Death Step can deal damage to sea beasts, and the Leviathan, of course. So if you're using Buddha, this can be great for you. But if you're using something like Magma, you can activate the maximum overheat move, which makes you deal more damage and adds a flame tick, meaning you can burn your enemies, and it hurts them over time. And that's pretty much it. I've told you all the requirements you need, along with some of the best fruits to use. Now, I wanted to go over some extra tips for you guys, so you can easily find and beat the Leviathan. First of all, there are a few myths I wanted to go over. Starting with, if you follow the big rocks, you will find the Leviathan. If you don't understand, this is talking about the giant rocks that spawn whenever you're looking for the frozen dimension. This is completely false, and I hope most people know this by now since following the big rocks leads you nowhere, and they're all randomly generated. The next one I have is, if someone is on cooldown, they must leave, or we can't fight the Leviathan. Once again, if you don't understand, this is talking about the cooldown on the spy, where you must wait a while before you can bribe him again. This is false. As long as someone else has fully bribed the spy, everyone on the ship is able to fight the Leviathan. Now the final one I have here is a bit outdated, and, at least I hope, nobody believes this anymore. So this is mostly for you newer players who haven't fought the Leviathan before. This one goes, if you don't bring the Leviathan heart back quickly, it will melt. Luckily, this one is false yet again. Whenever you collect the Leviathan heart with the Beast Hunter boat, you have an infinite amount of time to bring it back to Tiki Island. So no, it cannot melt. And that's pretty much it for everything about Leviathan hunting. Hopefully this video has helped you, and you should be able to find Leviathans much faster now, like I can. If I missed something, or if you have any questions, leave it in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to answer them if I can. Anyways, see ya.